I guess you have everything now, don't you? I shouted those words so loud my voice cracked, but I didn't care. My hands were shaking, my face flushed with rage, and my heart was pounding so violently I thought it might burst right through my chest. Across the marble-tiled living room that used to be mine, she stood like a statue, arms crossed, chin high, eyes burning with that same entitled glare I'd seen for years. My daughter, Alina. Or the person who used to be my daughter. I don't even know who she is anymore. She scoffed. Mom, this again? You're being so dramatic. Dramatic? I threw the stack of unpaid bills across the counter. You kicked me out of my own house. You drained my savings, pawned your father's watch, and now you're living here like royalty while I'm sleeping on a couch in a friend's basement. You signed the papers, remember, she said with a cold smile. No one forced you. I stepped closer, trembling. You said you just needed a temporary loan. You begged me with tears in your eyes, said it was for your business. You promised I could stay here as long as I wanted. And the moment everything was in your name, you changed the locks. She rolled her eyes like I was some stray barking mutt outside the gate. I told you, Mom. You're not easy to live with. I need my space. You're always judging me, always acting like I owe you something. It's my house now, and frankly, I like it better this way. That sentence sliced through me like a knife. I clenched my fists, not to strike her, God knows I'd never laid a hand on her in my life, but just to stop myself from falling apart. This house, this was where I raised her. Every picture on these walls, I hung. Every scratch on the floor had a story. Her first steps were right there on that rug she now threatens to throw out because it clashes with the new aesthetic. And now I was being treated like some unwanted guest who overstayed her welcome. You lied to me, I whispered, my voice breaking. You used me. She didn't even blink. Oh please, stop pretending like you're some victim. You were just a tired old woman clinging to a big empty house. I gave it life again. I made it modern. You should be thanking me. I stared at her in disbelief. Thanking her? She took a sip from her overpriced green smoothie and waved her hand like she was dismissing a servant. You're lucky I even let you back in today. You want your dumb old photo albums? Fine. They're in a box in the garage, next to the trash pile. My throat tightened. I could feel the tears stinging the corners of my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not in front of her. Not this time. You took everything, I said quietly. My home. My savings. My dignity. And you did it all with a smile. But you know what, Alina? Life doesn't forget people like you. One day, you'll lose something too. Oh my God, spare me the karma speech. She turned away, bored. It's always poor little Mom who sacrificed everything. Maybe if you had been stronger, smarter, or, I don't know, less gullible, you wouldn't be in this mess. I snapped. I stormed across the room, grabbed her smoothie, and hurled it at the wall. It exploded in a green splash that dripped down the white paint like blood. You think this is funny? I screamed. She jumped back, startled, for the first time actually scared. But I didn't touch her. I wouldn't. I just stood there, breathing heavily, like an animal cornered after losing everything. Then she straightened her spine and scowled. You're crazy. I'm heartbroken, I corrected. There's a difference. We stared at each other. Two women who shared blood, history, memories, now strangers at war. I don't know how long the silence lasted, but it ended with her saying the one sentence I'll never forget. Just leave already. You don't belong here. And just like that, I turned and walked out the door. Not because I was weak. But because I finally realized. I didn't. You want to know what betrayal feels like? It doesn't always come with a knife in the back. Sometimes, it wears your last name. Sometimes, it calls you Mom and still finds a way to make you feel worthless. I gave Alina everything. I raised her alone after her father died. I worked double shifts at the diner, packed school lunches when I hadn't eaten myself, stayed up sewing her dance costumes while she slept peacefully in the very bed I gave up for her. And how did she thank me? By taking my house. By draining my bank account. By calling me crazy when I asked why. People say motherhood is unconditional. That no matter what your child does, you love them through it. I used to believe that too. Until the day she looked me in the eyes, threw me out of my own home, and told me I didn't belong. After that day, I told myself I was done with her. But how do you walk away from someone you once held in your arms, watching her sleep with her fingers curled around your thumb? I tried to forget. I really did. I moved in with my friend Maria, bless her heart, into her tiny basement guest room with a mattress older than my daughter's conscience. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself she'd come to her senses. That one day, Alina would knock on my door crying, apologizing, asking me to come home. But months passed. Then a year. And not a word. Instead, I saw her on Instagram, all over social media, flaunting her new lifestyle coaching business. Posting videos from my living room like it was a studio, giving financial advice to thousands of followers while wearing designer clothes bought with my retirement savings. Manifest your dreams, she'd say. You don't need anyone, you just need hustle. She was right about one thing, she didn't need anyone. She had my money. She had my house. And she had zero shame. What no one knew was that her luxury lifestyle was built on the back of a woman who gave up everything just to keep the lights on. And while she rose, I fell. I applied for jobs again. Can you imagine? A 59-year-old woman with arthritis standing behind a counter while kids half her age called her slow. There were days I didn't eat so I could buy medication. Days I wrapped my legs in warm towels because the cold of that basement crawled up my bones at night. And still, I missed her. I used to look at my phone hoping to see her name flash across the screen. Just one call. One message. One "I'm sorry, Mom." But it never came. Maria told me, stop hoping. Some kids just don't deserve good mothers. And slowly, I began to believe her. Then one night, about 16 months after she kicked me out, I got a call. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Mom? It was her. Her voice, shaky, raspy, different. I froze. It felt like hearing a ghost. Alina? There was a pause. I need to see you. It's urgent. For a moment, I felt that flicker in my chest again, hope. Maybe this was it. Maybe she was finally sorry. Maybe my daughter was back. I agreed to meet her at a diner halfway between us. Neutral ground. She walked in looking different. Not the glam version of herself she projected online. Her makeup was smudged, her cheeks hollow, and there were dark circles under her eyes. She sat down slowly and didn't even order anything. Are you okay? I asked. She nodded quickly, eyes darting around. Then she dropped the bomb. I need a kidney. I stared at her, waiting for the joke. But she wasn't smiling. She leaned in. I have a rare condition. Stage 4. They said I need a transplant, and you're the best match. My whole world stopped. I looked at her, this woman who betrayed me, used me, tossed me aside like trash, and I was supposed to save her? Wow, I whispered. So now I belong again? Mom, please, she said. I know we've had issues. Issues? That word sat in my mouth like poison. Issues is what you have with a noisy neighbor. You destroyed my life. Her lips quivered. I was under pressure. I made mistakes. But this is life or death. I leaned back in my chair. So was my eviction. So was me choosing between food and medication. I didn't know. No. You didn't ask. I cut her off. You never called. Never checked in. You were busy posting grind never stops while I was picking up quarters just to buy soap. She looked away. For the first time in years, I saw guilt on her face. But I wasn't finished. Alina, I gave you everything I had. And when I had nothing left, you still wanted more. Now you want my body? Do you hear how insane that sounds? I'm begging you, she whispered. I'll do anything. That's when it hit me. She wasn't here because she loved me. She was here because she was scared. And suddenly, the girl who stood tall in my living room telling me I didn't belong was now kneeling at the feet of the woman she once threw out. It was my turn to decide. And I told her. You'll get my answer. But not today. Life has a strange way of flipping the script. One day you're the invisible one, the broken one, the forgotten mother with no place to sleep. And the next, you're holding the one thing your child can't buy, rent, or steal. My kidney. My choice. And for the first time in years, the power was mine. The next few days were a storm. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. Couldn't think. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to take all that pain and betrayal and shove it back in her face. Another part, the mother part, still heard her voice when she was 5, asking me to sing her to sleep. I didn't give her an answer that night at the diner. I told her I needed time. But what I really needed was the truth. All of it. So I agreed to start the donor testing. And suddenly, she was calling again. Messaging. Acting like a daughter. She picked me up for appointments. Bought me coffee like we were friends. Smiled at the nurses and held my coat like some proud child. But it wasn't real. I knew it. I could see it in her eyes. Every gesture was rehearsed. Every thank you was forced. She wasn't sorry. She was scared. Scared of dying. Scared of losing the perfect little empire she built on lies and filters. Still. I went through the motions. Blood work. Imaging. Cross-match tests. One of the nurses even said, "You must really love your daughter." I just smiled and said nothing. Because what could I say? That the woman I was about to cut open my body for was the same person who left me without a roof. No one would understand. Except for maybe Maria. She told me, "You don't owe her your body, you hear me? Not after everything she did." And maybe she was right. But I kept showing up. Not for Alina. For myself. Because I needed to know. I needed to look myself in the mirror and say, you did the right thing, even if no one else did. Then, just 2 days before the transplant board was supposed to approve the operation, something happened. I was sitting in the consultation room when a nurse walked in with a sealed folder. She handed it to the doctor. He opened it. Flipped through a few pages. Then paused. Is something wrong? I asked. He looked up, confused. Did you say your daughter's name is Alina Cartwright? I nodded. Yes. Why? He looked down again. According to our system, she's already received a donor kidney. The room spun. I blinked. What? He turned the file toward me. From a private clinic. 8 months ago. It's in her record. I stared at the page. The date. The name of the donor. It was right there in black and white. Alina had already gotten a kidney. 8 months ago. So what was this? What was she playing at? Why was she dragging me through tests and scans and emotional warfare if she didn't even need a transplant? I left that office shaking. I didn't call her. I didn't go home. I went to Maria's and sat on the floor with my back against the door, tears rolling down my face. She hadn't changed. She never would. The next day, I asked Alina to meet me. Neutral ground, again. Same diner. Same booth. She walked in, smiling. "Hey, Mom. I got the call from the clinic, looks like you're a match." I didn't say a word. She kept going. "This is such a blessing. I was thinking after the surgery. Maybe you could move back in for a bit, you know? So I can take care of you. And maybe, we could start over." I stared at her, letting her play the part. Then I slid the paper across the table. Her face changed instantly. Color drained. Smile faded. She stared at it. Then at me. Then back at it. "I don't understand," she whispered. I leaned forward. "You got a kidney 8 months ago. From a private clinic in Arizona. Paid in full. You listed me as an emergency contact, remember?" She didn't answer. Just sat there like a deer in headlights. I kept going. "So you didn't need mine. You just wanted, what? Sympathy? Attention? My forgiveness? Or was this just a PR stunt for your followers?" Her eyes filled with tears. But I didn't flinch. I went through everything. I opened old wounds, relived every betrayal, and you let me, for nothing. "I was going to tell you," she whispered. "When?" I snapped. "Before or after I was lying in a hospital bed missing an organ?" She looked down. And then she said the one thing that shattered everything left in me. "I thought, if I could just get close again, maybe you'd love me." I couldn't breathe. Because in that moment, I saw it. The scared little girl who never felt good enough. Who always needed more. More love. More praise. More approval. And I was to blame too. I raised her alone. Gave her the world. But maybe, just maybe, I forgot to teach her the one thing she needed most, humility. So I stood up. And I told her what she really came to hear. "No, Alina. You don't need my kidney." She looked up quickly, eyes wide. "You need something far rarer. You need character. And that's something no surgery will ever fix." She tried to speak, but I raised my hand. "You took my home. My money. My dignity. And I gave it all, without hesitation. But this? My body? My forgiveness? That's something you'll have to earn." And then I left. Sometimes, the people we love the most are the ones who test our humanity to its limits. They take until there's nothing left, and then ask for more. But the real power isn't in how much you give. It's in knowing when to stop. And when I walked away that day, I didn't feel weak. I felt whole. But the real power isn't in how much you give. It's in knowing when to stop. And when I walked away that day, I didn't feel weak. I felt whole. I didn't hear from her for 3 weeks. No texts. No calls. Just silence. At first, I thought maybe she was licking her wounds, crafting some new lie to justify it all. That's what she usually did, spin the story to her favor and walk away with her chin up and her conscience clean. But this time, something was different. It started with a phone call. Not from Alina, from her manager. A woman named Rachel. Calm voice, clipped tone, all business. "Ms. Cartwright," she said. "We'd like to discuss a situation involving your daughter. Would you have time to meet?" I almost laughed. "Now you want to talk to the broke woman she threw out of her house?" She paused. "Yes," she said quietly. "Because it turns out, you're the only one who's telling the truth. We met at an office downtown, not some fancy studio, just a quiet conference room with 2 chairs and a coffee machine in the corner." Rachel slid a folder across the table. Again with the folders. Inside were printouts. Screenshots, transcripts, posts. "Alina's brand has been under review," she said. Her followers noticed inconsistencies in her story. She claimed she was still waiting for a kidney, meanwhile, she'd already had surgery in Arizona. She posted a video crying in a hospital gown, using you as her emotional centerpiece, on the same day she was photographed leaving a spa in Sedona. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. The truth was catching up to her, not because I forced it, but because lies have expiration dates. She flipped to the last page. A headline. Influencer faked illness for sympathy, estranged mother speaks out. Except. I hadn't. I hadn't spoken out. I hadn't posted a thing. I hadn't told a soul outside Maria and the doctors. Rachel met my eyes. We'd like to give you a platform, if you want it. I blinked. Why? Because your silence said more than her screaming ever did. And people are listening now. I didn't say yes right away. I didn't do it for clout, or revenge, or internet justice. But eventually, I agreed to sit down for an interview. Just once. Not to tear Alina down, but to finally tell my side of the story. The real one. The one without hashtags or edits. They filmed it in my little one-bedroom apartment. I didn't dress up. I didn't wear makeup. I sat on the couch I got from a church giveaway and spoke from the same heart that once believed love could fix anything. I told them how I raised her alone. How I gave her every penny, every hour, every ounce of me. I told them about the house I signed over, the account she drained, the suitcase on the porch. And then I told them about the diner. The kidney. The lie. And finally, the truth. I didn't say no out of hate, I said, looking straight into the lens. I said no. Because I finally learned the difference between love and sacrifice. The video went viral in a matter of hours. Thousands of comments. Messages. People from all over, mothers, daughters, even strangers, thanking me for speaking up. And then, someone knocked on my door. It was a young woman. Early 20s. Nervous hands, tear-stained cheeks. Are you Alina's mom? She asked. I nodded. She handed me a small envelope. She asked me to give you this. I opened it after she left. It was a handwritten note. Shaky letters. Barely legible through the ink smudges. Mom. I messed up. I see that now. I don't expect you to forgive me. But I hope one day, you'll remember me as more than your biggest disappointment. I'm sorry. Alina. I stared at the paper for a long time. I didn't cry. Not because it didn't hurt, but because somehow, it healed something I didn't know was still bleeding. She was finally telling the truth. Maybe not to the world. But to me. And that was enough. A week later, a call came from a nonprofit organization that helps mothers recover from emotional abuse and financial betrayal by family members. They'd seen my interview. They wanted me to speak at their next event. Not as a victim. Not as a cautionary tale. But as a survivor. A woman who gave everything, and still found a way to rise. I stood on that stage with a microphone in hand, looking out at faces who knew the pain of silence, of guilt, of being told you're the selfish one when all you ever did was give. And I told them what I'd tell Alina, if she ever sat across from me again. You can forgive someone, and still walk away. You can love someone, and still say no. And sometimes, the most powerful act of motherhood, is finally choosing yourself. They took my home. They took my money. They tried to take my dignity. But they forgot, you can't steal someone's soul unless they hand it over. And I never did. I kept that for me. 6 months passed. I'd gone back to living a quiet life, early mornings, bus rides, diner shifts, the occasional speaking event. My little apartment started to feel like home. Not because it was fancy, but because peace lived there. No shouting. No gaslighting. No guilt. Just space to breathe. Every now and then, someone would recognize me. You're the mom from that video, they'd say. And I'd smile, nod politely, and move on. I didn't need the spotlight. I'd lived under someone else's shadow long enough. But peace has a strange way of preparing you for impact. Because just when I'd finally found calm, she came back. It was a Sunday. Rainy. I was folding towels by the window, sipping tea, when the doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. I almost didn't open it. But something told me, this is the chapter you've been avoiding. And there she was. Alina. Smaller. Paler. The spark in her eyes had dimmed. She wasn't wearing one of those sculpted Instagram dresses or fake lashes. She looked like a girl who got lost and finally realized she was far from home. "Hi, Mom." That voice still had power. I didn't say anything. I didn't have to. She held out an envelope. "I brought everything I owe you. Every cent. It's not all in cash, some of it's in transfer receipts. I sold the car. The brand deal's gone. But I made it right. I didn't take the envelope." She looked down. "I'm not here to beg. Or explain. I'm just here. I had to see you. To tell you that I finally understand." Her hands trembled. "You didn't say no to punish me. You said no because you were the only one who ever told me the truth, even when I didn't want to hear it." I let her in. Not because I trusted her. But because grace isn't weakness, it's choice. She sat on my couch, the same one I'd cried into 6 months ago when she left me standing in a hospital hallway. "I lost everything," she said. "The followers, the agency, the money, even Daniel. Turns out, he wasn't there for the hard part." I raised an eyebrow. "The same Daniel who told me I was dead weight." She winced. "Yeah. That one." We sat in silence for a while. She finally whispered, "Do you hate me?" "No," I said quietly. "I just don't need you anymore. That's the difference." She stayed for tea. We didn't laugh. We didn't hug. There were no cheesy montages or emotional soundtracks playing in the background. It was awkward. Raw. Real. And maybe, that's what healing really looks like. Before she left, she stood in the doorway, holding her car keys like they weighed 100 pounds. "I'm applying for real jobs now," she said. "I want to learn how to live without pretending. Without performing. I know I don't deserve your help, but if you ever decide to let me back in your life, I'll be here. Not as the daughter I was, but as the woman I'm trying to become." I looked her dead in the eyes. "You don't need my help. You need your own mirror." She nodded slowly, tears spilling. "Then I'll start there." That night, I finally opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, written in careful cursive. "Dear Mom. I used to think love meant getting what I wanted. I now know real love means giving even when it hurts. And you did that, until it nearly killed you. Thank you for saving my life. Not just with your kidney, but with your no. I'm becoming someone who can finally deserve a mother like you. Even if you never say yes again, I'll keep trying. I love you. Alina." They say motherhood is sacrifice. But sometimes, motherhood is boundaries. It's choosing to stand tall, even when your child tries to cut you down. It's saying no, not because you don't love them, but because you finally love yourself. They took my home. They took my money. They tried to take my dignity. But they forgot. I'm not the woman they walked over. I'm the woman who got back up and walked away. On my own 2 feet. With my head held high.